Do you transfer title in a land lease? I'm Tim Diesel. I'm a commercial real estate consultant. Today I want to ask a question. I'm going to kind of vary off and give you guys a few more pointers. And the question was, when you're doing a land lease, do you transfer title? Now obviously the question wasn't that specific. It was one sentence. Do you transfer title in a land lease? And I'm going to kind of break it down for you guys and kind of give you some options. So this pertains to leasing property. So in this example, we have a warehouse and you have an industrial warehouse. You just want to lease it out. A couple ways to do this. You could always obviously buy it flat out, right? Cash purchase, whatever. It could be financing. That's option one. If you're going to lease it as a tenant, you're leasing the insides of the property, right? You don't own the building, you don't own the property, you're just leasing, you're a tenant. And for argument's sake, let's just say it's an absolute net deal. You're paying for everything. You're paying for the driveway, you're paying for everything, the roof, mechanical, everything. So you're still a tenant. Now, you're paying property tax on the taxes and insurance on the space you're using, but you don't own the building. You can't sell it one day. If you don't have it in your contract, they can sell that property without even telling you. So you're just a tenant. It could be 10 years, whatever, 15 years, however long your lease is. Now, another way to do this is a land lease. And in the land lease is a little bit different. So I want to kind of break things down for you a little bit. So let's say you own the warehouse itself. When a land lease, you're basically leasing out the land to the property owner. So you're selling the property. They own the property. They can do whatever they want with it. And every month they're going to pay you whatever, $1,000 a month, whatever number you pick, 5,000, 10,000, it doesn't matter. Typically it's 99 years, right? And what you need to have is, it's got to be longer than the mortgage. So if your mortgage is 30 years, you've got to be 40 or 50 or so on. You can't be 10 years. They're not going to let that fly. You'll see land leases a lot of times, obviously, in condos, right? If it's a 30, 50 unit building, you don't own the land. You just own the condo space. You own what's inside there, everything inside the walls. And this is common, but it's not common to sell property and keep the land. Many times you want to do this if you have really prime real estate, and let's say, I don't know, somewhere in New York on First and First, and you don't want to sell the land, but you're okay with selling the building. A couple things. You can't depreciate land, right? So if you're looking at it that way, it's just dirt. But you never know what you can build on there in the future. And a lot of buyers are okay with this because if they have a long enough lease, well, they're not going to live 99 years most of the time. So they typically don't care. You can still work out your deal however you want to do it. Now, if you're an owner of a lot of great properties, doing a land lease is fantastic because you can keep a lot of the assets, a lot of the prime assets in your portfolio. You can lease those out. And it just kind of depends on what you're doing, right? It depends on what kind of business you're trying to start. So if you're trying to start like a plumbing company, most of the time, if you're buying the building, let's say you're buying the building for $1 million. Well, now you have to buy the building and you got to get your business set up. So it's a whole lot of cash out of pocket. See, when you lease as a renter for 5 years, 10 years, whatever, it's easier to get started. You're typically paying first, last security. That's not so bad. You can get in there, you can get your business going. Maybe there's advantages to owning the land down the road. You get a good deal on it, whatever the case is. If you're buying the land, the property, and not the land, typically a plumber wouldn't do this, but in this example, let's stay on this topic here. So let's say he wants to buy the building and he's okay with leasing the land. Now, I don't want to get too much into this because I don't want to confuse everybody, but you could do a land contract and you could do a couple other ways. But think of it this way. If you're buying a car, you technically don't own title to that car until you've paid off all the payments, right? Until you've made everything. So the property is this kind of the same similar approach. I'll make another video on that and I'll really break it down for you, but I don't want to confuse anyone. When it comes to transferring title, that's what you're doing, right? Once the note is satisfied, then the property is yours. So Again, you're probably gonna have to pay more money than a typical leasing of the property if you were just a tenant. So it is an option, it is an advantage. And to answer the question, you do transfer title after the note is satisfied. So if you have any more questions on that, let me know. Be glad to help you. Thank you.